Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing very well. Today we're looking at the Aim-9X Sidewinder in collaboration with the helmet mounted queuing system. Now I say Aim-9X, most of what we're going to show today works with the other variant of the Sidewinder, but the chances are if you're flying this plane then you're going to be using the Aim-9X as your close range weapon. Needless to say, the Sidewinder is a close range IR guided weapon. It's fire and forget, so you fire it and you no longer have to support it. Range is between about 1 mile and 10 miles depending on speed, altitude, aspect and whatnot. So first of all, we're going to look at the controls that we're going to be using today, the HOTAS controls. There's not many of them, you'll be happy to know. We will be using the dogfight switch there to switch to dogfight mode, the nose wheel steering missile step button to change stations, and the weapon release button to actually fire the missile. And at some point, because we're going to be using ACM modes for the radar, we're going to be using, in this case, TMS switch up for a BORESIGHT. Prerequisites, we must make sure that our master arm is turned on to the up position. If we're going to be using the radar for this, which we may, then we want this guy here in the up position, and ensure that we have this guy here, our fire control radar switch, on and forward. Next, we're going to look at the two different ways that we can select and initialize our Aim-9 for use. So the first way is the easiest way, and it is to press the dogfight button. So I'm going to press that now. If you can hear the hiss in the background, that is the hiss, the return from the IR sensor on the front of the missile. So that's one good way of knowing that we've got it selected. Another way is that we've got this triangle in the middle here. The triangle represents where the seeker head of the selected IR missile is pointing. It is on a gimbal and it can point omnidirectional, and it's represented currently pointing directly forwards. So with this dogfight mode engaged, let's quickly look at our SMS MFD. So we've had this come up on our SMF MFD. We are dogfights, we are EEGS, that means the gun funnel is active, that means the gun is also active in this dogfight mode. We can spot, hear or scan. This is the type of method that the seeker head of our missile is going to use. Spot means that it basically just keeps pointing forwards in a direction. That is the most efficient in terms of range and detecting enemy. We can click that there and it would become scan, which means that the seeker head will dance around in an area roughly like this, which will give us more coverage for the seeker head but less detection efficiency. Currently scan is not implemented. If we wanted to go to the event tree for the hard points, we could go there. I'm sure you know that already. And hit it again to get back in. We've currently got the gun selected as well. It's just part of the dogfight mode that we use. We can see the missile selected are 2 times Aim-9 X-rays, so that's our missile selected. We can see that they are warm. They can be warm, and you can command this, or cold. That is argon cooling needed to cool the seeker head of the missile. We have about 90 minutes worth of coolant. So if for some reason we wanted to ensure that we didn't run out of coolant, we could override them and make them cool like this. But remember, when they are cool like this, then the seeker head will not work, or certainly not work efficiently. So we're going to leave that warm there. This shows the 2 stations that we have our missiles selectable from, Station 7 and Station 3. We can select Station 7 if we want, or Station 3, that's up to us. Here is slave or bore. Slave means that we can slave the IR sensor of the missile, which is that there, to heat sources and or radar tracks. If we override it into bore here, then that means that the missile will only ever be able to point forwards, locked in that direction there. Okay, so we're going to keep it in slave for the time being. This, whatever this is, doesn't work at the moment. So that's that. Now we're going to show the other way of selecting and initializing the missile. So I'm going to neutralize my dogfight mode there, so I'm back to nav mode. So the second way is I would press the air-to-air mode here. This will turn this right MFD back to SMS, and it's pretty much similar to what we saw there. We can see that we've got air-to-air mode on, we've got spot or scan, which will come later. We've got our inventory, we've got our missiles here. Out of interest, we can change to our other missiles here, but we don't want to, obviously. Warm and cool again. Station selector here. So if I select this station, that station will fire, for instance. We've got our slave arm and bore, so it's pretty similar to how it had before. So that concludes the 2 different ways of selecting and initializing this missile for use. So next we have to look at the 5 different possible methods of acquiring an IR lock, which is what we have to do for the missile to fire. It has to lock on to a suitable heat source. Method 1, no radar lock. BORESIGHT method, in this case we have no ranging of the target. Method 2, no radar lock, uncaging the seeker head. Again, we have no ranging for this method. When I say we have no ranging, basically we'll have to range with our eyesight. There's no other way of doing the ranging without a radar lock. 3, with a radar lock, CRM or ACM. Slaved to the radar lock. With CRM, we'll have a dynamic launch zone. With ACM, we will not have a dynamic launch zone. That may change in the future, just bear that in mind. Secondary ranging, we'll have as our slant ranging, which we'll actually have down where these 3 X's are. Here, 4, no radar lock, with the helmet mounted cueing system, with no ranging, and that's BORESIGHT. 5, radar lock, with helmet mounted cueing system, ACM, with slant ranging. Again, that'll be down here. So that explains the 5 different modes. They're, if you like, they're positives, they're negatives, what you need, what you don't need. You may want to have the radar on, you may not want to have the radar on, you may need some certain information. What we're going to do now is just go through each one of them and show how each one of them works. So I'm going to go and find some targets, and we'll start on method 1, no radar, BORESIGHT, no ranging. Okay, so mode 1, no radar lock. So you see it's got no radar lock. We're BORESIGHT, we are on slave here, but we're not forcing it to the BORESIGHT, so it's just on the BORESIGHT essentially of its own accord, because it doesn't need to slave to anything else. And we've got no type of ranging because we don't have a radar lock, so we've got no slant range. So all we do now is hover the diamond over the hostile, listen. You hear that sound? It's now got a tone, and now I just press the weapon release. Pow pow! We're going to get him. It's fire and forget, so I could turn away now, but I don't want to. I want to see him go boom boom. Pow! Next we're trying method 2, no radar lock, but uncaging the seeker head to slave to the IR source. Again, we'll have no type of ranging. Now what we're going to find is that this is buggy as hell, I think is the correct term. It may work, it may not. It worked before, then we turned the camera on and it stopped working. It's just not quite working yet. But what I'm going to do is we're going to have it set to slave. We're going to move over to him like this, and we're going to press this button here. Sorry, I forgot to show you, I just realised. Uncage. What this will do is uncage the secret head so it can follow the IR source. Only do this once you get a lock tone like that. You will now press uncage. The diamond will go big. That means it has a lock and it is following him. What it should do is follow the target wherever my aircraft goes within gimbal limits. It doesn't. It's not working at the moment. You can see if I move down, it comes down with me. And I can't turn it off if I press cage anymore. What it should be doing is following the target. That's just a bug at the moment. It seems about a 50-50 chance whether that works or not at the moment. It will be fixed. So if I go back here and I press uncage again, then it turns itself off, it uncages. So it's kind of hard to explain that with it not working, but to reiterate, what it would do is go up here, get a tone, press uncage, the diamond gets big. It would now follow him all the way up here, and I would be able to launch a missile, what we call off BORESIGHT. So I would be able to launch a missile up to him at there because the diamond would stay on him. Bugged at the moment, doesn't work most of the time, just accept that, but that is method 2. Again, no way of ranging. So I'm just going to cancel that by moving on to him. Method 3, radar lock with a slave method with or without a dynamic launch zone. So we'll show 2 methods and a slant range for ranging. So first of all, we'll try it from ACM, an ACM method of locking the target. And to do that, we're already in dogfight mode. So I'm going to press TMS up to bring up my BORESIGHT ACM mode. We've got a video on ACM modes if you want that to know what I'm talking about. And I'm going to hit TMS down to get the get a vertical scan. We're going to move and get a lock on this guy. There we go, we've got a radar lock on the guy now. And what's automatically happened, because we're in slave mode here, is the seeker head on the IR missile is slaving to my radar lock. And I can move it outside the HUD now. It will keep a lock on it and it's ready to fire until it gets out of the gimbal limits of the missile. It allows me to fire high off BORESIGHT like this. And that is the nickname of this missile, a HOB, a high off BORESIGHT missile. So I'm going to fire like that. Fire and forget, so I can turn away now if I want. So that is methods. I've just realised I've run out of missiles, so I'm going to... Okay, we should have limited weapons on, so let's see if I can select my sidewinders again. I think that's going to work. So I'm going to cancel this lock now. I'm going to go just back to nav mode. So what I want to show now is mode 3, but this time, instead of using an ACM lock, we're going to use a BVR lock, or known as a CRM lock. This will allow us to have a dynamic launch zone in this early version that we are tutorialing at the moment. So we are going to set ourselves to CRM. We already are. We're going to punch out to 10 miles. We've got to go and find this target now on CRM. Stand by. So we're going to go to air-to-air mode here. Make sure our HOB is selected. Our missile, it is. I know it says 0, but we've actually got them respawning, so they should work. Make sure we're in CRM mode here. Going to go up to 10 miles scan here. See if I can now track one of these targets from a CRM point of view. Note that with CRM mode, we can see this tone reticle here, this seeker reticle here. This shows the distance around the triangle, buddy spike, around the diamond at which the seeker head can detect the IR source. It's just something we get in CRM, but we don't get in ACM mode. Right, sorry, yapping away. Let me go and lock this guy here. If I can get him. That's an STT lock on our guy here, and you can see that the HOB, the missile, has automatically slaved to him, and I have to pause, I think, to talk about this. Because we've locked from a CRM rather than an ACM, we get our dynamic range zone. Here is our range scale, 5 miles at the top, 0 at the bottom. Here is the current range to him, where this camera is. That's about 1.5 miles. Here is our closing speed, -20. He's getting away from us at exactly 20 knots. We've got recommended firing solution distances here. So what we can see is that the minimum range of the missile is down here, at 0 more or less. The maximum is, I believe, up here at 5, and the recommended, or what we call the no escape range, would be here. So we want to fire when this carrot is in this range here, this kind of block here, which is at the moment, we're 1.5 miles or something. We're in perfect range to fire. So that's how the dynamics launch zone works. It only works in CRM lock at the moment. It does not work in ACM lock. It probably will work in ACM lock later on down the line. It's probably just a developmental thing. So I'm going to just launch my missile. Off he goes. So that was modes 3 and 3B. Now we need to look at mode 4 and 5. So that is using the helmet mounted display. It's similar, but with extra functionality. So we're going to basically neutralize everything. I'm going to go back to a basic nav mode and do that by pressing AA. So we're back in nav mode here. We're not initiated to fire any missiles, basically. We're going to go this time through the dogfight method. We're going to press the dogfight switch there. We are now going to turn our helmet mounted display on, our helmet mounted queuing system. This will give us this symbology out here. Bug at the moment. If it does not appear, like it does sometimes, then move your head out here and press D, Delta MS up, and it will appear. It's just a bug that will be fixed pretty soon, hopefully. Everything else is pretty similar. I need to double check we've got our missile selected. We haven't. We've got the AMRAAM selected, so we're going to force it on down -1. I've got -19 Aim-9Xs. Wagner! Yeah. That's so funny. We have got a 9 Aim-9 selected, of course, because you can hear the growl. So what we're going to use is the HMCS without a radar lock. So we're going to slave the seeker head to my helmet. Now this gets a little bit counterintuitive, but what we actually have to do for this to work is change this to bore. So this is something you'll set before you get into the dogfight, because you don't want to be messing around here during a dogfight. Now look at the diamond. Remember, the diamond shows where the seeker head is looking. It's going wherever my head goes. See that stuff? Pretty cool, huh? And it will go all the way to the seeker limit, gimbal limit. And when it goes past the gimbal limit, it will have a cross in it. No, it won't, because it's not working at the moment. There we go. You see, it's got a cross in it. It's a little bit iffy at the moment. Let's just try that again. Yeah, it does work. It does work. You see, it's got a cross through it. Okay. We better quickly explain about the information we're seeing here. No radiation. It's to do with the radar. It's not interesting today. That is our current G. That is our current speed as selected. That is our current master arm situation. That is our current master mode, dogfight. That is the bearing and the range from the bullseye to me, not me to the bullseye. Here is the magnetic heading of my helmet, not of the aircraft. Here is the slant range to the target that we are tracking. Currently we are not tracking a target in radar. Here is our barometric altitude for situation awareness. Here's the bullseye cross of the helmet. Sorry, go fast, but there's a lot of information. We're going to lock RC now, and we're not going to use a radar lock. This is purely using the IR seeker of the missile. We're going to move it up to him like here now. No, he's too far off foresight. I'm going to do it up this guy here. Wait for the tone, press uncage, and it has locked onto him, and we can fire. We now have a solution. Eve, don't worry about it showing it crossed out like that. We can fire now. The missile will go up and take him. Now, you see how when I pressed uncage, it uncaged to him. That's how mode 2 should have worked, but like we said, it's buggy at the moment. It doesn't quite work right. We've got a kill there. It leads us to the last mode, which is our helmet mounted boresight radar mode. So we're going to go back to slave. Oh, in fact we already are. It's set us back to slave. That's fine. So what I'm going to do, I've already got my helmet turned on. I'm going to press TMS up in dogfight mode to get our boresight mode on. Power. You can see it because the cross is on there. We're then going to move off 4 here, and you can see that I've got my radar egg here, as I like to call it. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to move my radar egg over to the hostile. Hopefully that's not too far off also. I'm then going to press TMS up when I've got him. Let's see if I can get him. And it's got a radar lock. Hold. And the missile is not slaving to him. And that's because I selected the bloody Wagner. It selected the Aim-9, the 120s again. And we want to make sure that we've got slave on here. We don't want bore anymore for this method. We're then going to move our egg out here. We're then going to highlight over the target. We're then going to press TMS up to acquire a radar lock. We've got it, and you can see, because we've got slave mode on, the seeker head in the missile has automatically sought out the radar track, and we're good to fire. High or BORESIGHT, so we can fire the missile. Woo! So, we got there. The 5, technically 6 different modes of firing. There are some bugs in there at the moment, but the logic is all included in this tutorial for when everything gets fixed. The missile didn't impact for some reason, not sure. We might have been out of range. Slant range is 3 miles. I think I'm just out of range or whatever. So that shows the different modes and how to do everything. There's quite a lot to remember there, so you may need to rewatch this. I hope that helps, and see you later.